Aussie roads don't look like they used to. Cars that were once parked in every second driveway have almost vanished. And I'm not necessarily talking about the rare stuff. I'm talking about the ordinary, everyday cars. The ones that nobody thought twice about. And somewhere along the way, they've quietly disappeared. And in this video, we're going to go down memory lane and remember a few of them. And we're going to start off with the humble Ford Laser. When was the last time you guys saw a good Cayenne or KQ Ford Laser? These cars used to be synonymous with uni students, L-platers, people learning to drive, and they used to be everywhere on Australian roads, and they've just completely disappeared. Really, when was the last time you saw one? I think a lot of these cars fell to the victim of things where they needed minor repairs, maybe CV joints or something like that, and because of that, they just ended up going straight to the wreckers just for that little problem. Because the Ford Laser was actually a really important car for Ford, especially the early ones. They really gave Ford dominance in the small car market, and unfortunately they haven't been able to retain that since. And the Ford was very reliable, that Laser. It really was a very good car, and yeah, never see them anymore. If you see a really tidy Laser at the shops, it really is a head turner. Really odd to see one that hasn't been consumed by life. And another car that goes right along with the Ford Laser is the Hyundai Excel. Now, I know you're watching this and you probably think, oh, I haven't thought about one of those in years, and they kind of have been replaced by the Getz. But before the Getz was the Hyundai Excel. A fantastic car. I've had the pleasure of driving one. My mate, his parents bought one brand new back in the day, and it was his first car, and they are astonishingly fun to drive. I know they don't look it, but they really are properly good fun, and because of that, and they're very, very reliable cars, a lot of these have actually died due to track use. A lot of people have bought them, and there's Excel only racing, which is quite unique. So the vast majority of these probably have had a significant mechanical death, but only because of racing. I think that these actually have a little bit of a cult following, and really the only downside to driving a car like that in today's world is safety. That's really the only one. They're really cool, they have a little bit of charm, but you know, like the Mitsubishi Lancer and all those little early 2000 buzz boxes, these are fantastic cars, and they really put Hyundai's name on the map. Now, I wasn't sure 100% whether to put this on here because you do see them, but seeing good ones is a completely different story, and that is the TE to TL Mitsubishi Magna. Made here in Australia along with the Commodore and the Falcon, although a little bit of a different take, more of a Camry competitor, you know, front wheel drive and all that kind of stuff, but they were V6. And they actually go pretty well. I just think one of the things with these cars is they never got the enthusiast or that kind of market share that the Commodore or the Falcon did. They always, I mean, I think it's pretty universally agreed that every Magna has an exhaust leak, but also the fact that every single one of them is a very good car that goes forever. They're comfy to drive, they're lazy, like they're nice to drive, but they don't have, outside of a few, an enthusiast following and people willing to keep them alive. They've always just become a keep runabout, and again, just a victim of being too ordinary. Very good cars. I'd love to drive one, and I think they do have a significantly growing following because, again, finding a good unmolested one is not common at all. And you can go have a look on social media. I saw one recently, and someone did a video on one, and it was like a one owner mint example, and it had crazy views, and all the comments were saying, I haven't seen one of those in years, and all of that kind of thing. And I think, you know, when they were sort of winding up in the mid 2000s, people just didn't want sedans anymore. You know, Ford and Holden was, you know, still making the Commodores and Falcons and stuff, but the writing was on the wall. They wanted SUVs. Now, the next one is a little bit before my time, but I'm going to include it anyway, but probably only by about 5 years, and that is the R31 Skyline and Pintara. Obviously the Pintara being, you know, at 31, but basically with a 4-cylinder. They were never particularly iconic enough to save until, ironically, it's too late. Now they're very popular. Seeing a really good one is a neck snapper, and I love those luscious interiors on them. They're a cool car developed in Australia, and because they're Japanese, you know, Japanese design, they're very reliable. But finding one is extremely rare, particularly a wagon. Again, another car that has just fallen victim to regular family use. You never ever see them anymore. Occasionally you'll be driving out in country Victoria and you'll see heaps of them in a paddock or something like that, but they've just vanished. Not so much the 31, and I imagine a lot of Pintaras have been turned into 31s, but you guys know what I mean. Now the next one is a car that I actually own, and that is the Holden Camira. That's right. Now, Holden Camira is a really interesting car because there were a handful, and stay with me here, that were actually half decent. Now, mine isn't here, unfortunately, and ironically, I have taken it to a car meet once, and it came back on a tow truck. But they made the Camiras from sort of 1982, 83 to the late 80s, and they didn't really get it right until right at the end with the JE, the one that looks like a VL Commodore. That, the 2 litre with the 5-speed, that is a particularly good car. That really is. And I'm not just saying that. That combination, the family 2 motor, is genuinely good. There is quite a few of those still around. Mine is, it actually broke because of a heater hose. It's not the car's fault, just wear and tear. The early Camiras, and I'm sure that a lot of people that are Camira enthusiasts, which there are, I'm sure that they can even agree that some of the early ones did have significant problems. The thing is with these cars, they have just been a victim to a terrible name, which admittedly was deserved at the beginning, but once they became refined, it became an actual good car, and they're faster than you would expect as well, which is quite cool. It was too late. The name was already mud, and it's kind of like the Holden Cruise. I can completely understand that nobody has, or very, very few people have wanted to save and look after their humble Camira. But every time I post them, there is a lot of people saying, oh, I remember that as my first car, that kind of thing. And I promise you, if you saw an XY GT at a car meet or a Camira at a car meet, you're going to have a look at the Camira and go, fuck, I haven't seen one of those in ages. I'm not necessarily saying that you're going to choose that over the XY, but you're probably going to say, God, I haven't seen one of them in a really long time. They've just been, let's be honest, they were never worth good money. My one that I bought is a really good example, and it was $1,500. And I think for that money, I was happy to buy it for the channel. But if it was my own personal collection, maybe not. But there are a few good ones out there. Another one that I wanted to touch on, which I have never seen in person, is an EFI Gemini. Now, again, these kind of fall into the same thing as the Camira, not quite, but sort of in the same realm of no one ever thought to save them. They're a bit of a classic. They're kind of worth the same sort of dollars as a Camira. But in the context of the Holden story, they are cool. And I would love to see one. I'd probably feature and film one if there was any good ones out there left. And when you could buy a cheap secondhand Commodore or a cheap secondhand EFI Gemini, most people are probably going to choose the Commodore, probably like a VB, VH, VL sort of that era in the late 90s when you're buying one. So when was the last time you guys saw one of those? This video is proudly sponsored by B&B Auto House, specialising in transforming the interior of your pride and joy. Lots of Holdens, lots of HSVs, and recently they even travelled to the United States just to trim cars. How awesome is that? But it's not all Holdens and Fords. We even have a Land Cruiser right here that is right in the middle of getting a VF Club Sport interior. How cool is that? We recently bought my VY1 tonner here as well, and it totally transformed the car and really highlighted how far the rest of that car has to go. Anyway, they have stores all over Australia. If you're looking to get your car trimmed, get in touch with the link below and book in your car. And next is one that is really personal to me, a good, and I'm talking good ones because there are plenty of rubbish ones out there, VRVS wagon. Now, I am lucky enough that I have a very good one, but how often do you see one? Man, you never ever see them, because for a VS wagon to be good today, it has got to have survived almost 30 years of being a family car, being possibly a work car or a Telstra car or that kind of thing. And then when it's cheap, it has somehow got to have survived a young bloke getting their hands on it. It's very rare for a car to survive, a rear-wheel drive car to survive all of those things here in Australia. A few have. I'm lucky enough that I've got one that has, and I know from seeing other people's cars out there, they are still out there. But because they're hard to find, they are actually genuinely good ones are becoming a bit of a collector's item. People are now old enough that they can afford to buy one. And it's not always bad because, I remember my dad's mate at high school, when I was in high school, he had one and it was rough as guts, but it was dead reliable. It had a tow ball, had a tennis ball on the tow ball. It was a good car, a good family car. And again, they weren't worth that much money, 10, 15 years ago. A lot of them were probably scrapped for simple fixes, inlet manifold gasket, a blown radiator, or very minor hits in the front and that kind of thing. And then they were all scrapped. I even scrapped one. This is how worthless they were. I bought a factory manual V8 VR wagon and totally scrapped it. There was nothing wrong with the car and I pulled it apart for its guts. So it's a shame. You really never see good ones anymore, but when you do, it really does turn your head, or at least it turns mine. And next I'm going to talk about a combination of cars. We're all going to put them in the same thing, and that is the Holden Nova, the Holden Apollo, and the Toyota Lexcen. Now, these are all, I'm sure you guys know, the Holden Nova and Holden Apollo are Camrys and Corollas, basically badge engineering, and the Lexcen is Commodore. Now, with the Commodore, they did it for VN, VP, VRVS, and there are actually genuinely a few unique bits that are specific to the Lexcen. Even the front panels, I think, on the VP Lexcens are specific to that car. The problem, and the garnishes, the taillights, the problem with this is because the Lexcen sold in such few numbers, anytime it was hit in the front or rear, that's it. That's the end of the car, because you just can't get the panels anymore, and you can't just use VN VP sub. They changed that in the later ones, but in the early ones you couldn't. And these cars, I don't want to prejudice, but they were commonly bought and purchased by the elderly, so they actually became quite desirable for people getting skid cars and stuff like that, because they didn't carry the dollar value that an equivalent Commodore would in similar condition. There's very few of these left, man. There really is not. And I had the luxury of driving a VP Lexcen, an immaculate one, all the way from sort of Mornington Peninsula in Victoria all the way up to Sydney. And it was such a nice drive. And they're really good cars. If I could find a good one, I'd have one. Because they are a little bit quirky. Sometimes they came in weird colours. I really like to add, we're a little bit different, that kind of thing. The Lexcens are cool, and same with the Holden Novas and all that, with Toyota Camry and stuff. They were really, really good cars, but again, they were also worth nothing, and just no one saved them. They just became a victim of being too good. So even though they were really good cars, basically no one cared about them. And finally, the Proton Jambuk. Now, I really like this car. It's very weird. I'd love to own one. The little front-wheel drive utes. They seem very charming, and they are way newer than I actually thought they were. I didn't realise they made them all the way up to 2010. But they're a cool thing. But again, vanished. I would imagine this is a little bit different than a lot of the other cars on this list. I think a lot of people that have these now are probably enthusiasts, people that love this specific model. And that happens with a lot of weird cars. I'd kind of put this in the same category as like a smart car or a Crown Vic or something, something like that. People love this specific model. They're really cool, they're quirky, and they're a lot less common than they used to be. So this is probably the only one on the list that is for a little bit different reasons, but I really like them. Obviously, if you're going to just have a run-around cheap work ute, you're probably better off here in Australia of having a Hilux or a Commodore or a Falcon ute or something like that. But it's 1.5 litre, 4-cylinder with 64 kilowatts. It's not going to have the street cred that a Maloo or even a 6-cylinder Falcon on gas has, but it definitely has its place. I can imagine a lot of people use these in the city or as farm utes or something like that, I think they're a really cool thing. I really do, but you never ever see them anymore. The thing with all of these cars that I've talked about today is there was no big tragic event. They've just all died a slow death by 1,000 cuts. The numbers have just dwindled and dwindled until now, where it's mostly enthusiasts keeping these cars alive, and parts are getting harder to find and all of that kind of stuff, So one repair bill too much, or a tap in the front, or a little bit of rust, and then that car's gone because there's no parts to replace it. And I genuinely mean this. Sometimes when I see those Survivor cars that are immaculate, I really do prefer seeing those than a HQ Monaro with 300 grand spent on it, because those cars, the original laser and stuff, it is very difficult to maintain a car at that level for 30, 40 years, 50 years. You know, it just doesn't happen. It takes a very special person to be able to do that, to continuously put money, time, and effort into a car that is, at one point, especially with a lot of the cars on this list, worth $500, you know, and keeping them on the road is something that's really nice to see. And people are always going to care about HSVs and Lamborghinis and all of that stuff, but I do like a humble Ford Laser. Anyway, thank you guys very much for following along with my list here. I hope you guys enjoyed and brought back some memories, maybe of your childhood, of your P-plate years, anything like that. So I really, really do appreciate you watching. Thank you for liking, following along for more videos like this, and subscribe. Thank you guys very, very much.